Welcome to our today's session, which is about Microsoft Excel. So in today's session, we are going to look at some very basic things. We want to start looking at data entry in Microsoft Excel. So there is different ways of entering data in Excel. There is different ways of entering data into Excel. Yeah, let me show Excel in this way so that we can know that this is Microsoft Excel. Yeah. So we want to start by looking at simple things that we can be able to save as data. So for example, I usually like working with case studies. So the common case study is about organization. So the organization may want to save information about their employee. So let's say, what are some of the things that the organization may be interested in about employee details? You can use the chat section, or you can talk. You can just unmute and tell us what are some of the things that the employee the organization can consider while building employee details. So for me, I start with employee ID. Maybe if you join an organization, you are given an ID, a unique identifier, and maybe something like employee name. You can help me also come up with elements. So let's say employee name. Let me just make the names readable. Employee name. And something, you can just talk about gender. So let me just talk here. Here, I don't want name. I want to say first name and last name. First name and last name. So I just want you also to type at your end, employee first name, and employee last name. So you just talk about first and then last name. Gender. Yeah, gender is important. Which other information can we save? Their email address. What else? Date of birth. Yeah. Date of birth. Yeah, I just saw someone, I think someone posted something. Just check that we can see. Age, yeah, their age. So their age, for age purposes, I usually consider their date of birth, because now when you talk about age, that means that by the next year, maybe you may want to know how old are they. So it's better when you store the date of birth than storing age. Yeah, so you store their date of birth. It is easier for you to compute age from their date of birth. So that will be covered in the date functions moving forward in our next sessions, how you can be able to use something like some date functions in Excel to be able to compute the age of the employee. What else? Salary, department, you see. Salary, something like department, salary. We can store a lot of information here. But let's just consider this as part of our learning. So let's say we have a unique identifier. Let's say we have a unique identifier here. Let's say we want to use numbers from 100 to 105. So number 100, the first name of this person is maybe Joe. John Doe. That's first name, last name. And then the gender of this person is female. This is male. Yeah, this is male. And then their email address. So here, email address, let's say for our organization, for example, our organization is using the first name, then at the domain of the company, which is an example.com. So we use the first name and then at example.com. And then the date of birth of this person is maybe date of birth, let's just guess here something, 19, 19, let me talk about 1978. And then the department of this person is maybe, let's talk about IT. And then maybe the salary of this person is $5,000. Yes, let's talk about $5,000. $5,000. So this is the entry by hand. This is entry by hand in Microsoft Excel. So we want to consider here, this is the normal entry by hand. Now you can see how long it can take you to type all this information. So how can we save time? How can we save time while doing this? So we start by introducing things we call drop downs for categorical data. So things like categorical data, we introduce things we call drop downs in Excel. So things like gender, we don't have to type gender by hand. Things like the department the person belongs, we don't have to type the department by the hands, but we can use drop downs in those cases. So that also brings to us a concept known as data validation. Data validation in Microsoft Excel. So let's make the next entry. So for the next entry, it's ID, employee ID 101. Maybe the first name of this employee is, let's say, Rebecca. Is there a question or something? Yes, educational level, and then yes, Felix.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
However, kidogo, or let me speak English. Kidogo, okay, slightly, or I lost connection and I had to rejoin. And when I lost at the point where you are just opening your 2019 version of Excel, I don't know what we're doing today. I've only seen something like a primary key. What?
Okay.
Data entered.
Okay, Felix. Thank you so much. Yeah, so what we have done, we have defined here the column names for our data. We're talking about, I usually like working with case studies. So you are looking at a study where you're working in an organization. So this organization needs to store the information about the employee details. So what are some of the things that organization can store about you? So organization would like to assign you a unique identifier, which we can call primary key in our data here, which is the employee ID. And then we go to the first name, then we go to the last name, then we go to gender, we go to employee email address, which we generate this email based on the first name and the last name. Not first name and the domain of the organization at example.com. Yeah, so we are just going to see how we can save time doing these things with some tricks. That's what we are now want to do next. The first one we have just entered normally by just typing 100, Joe, John, Mel, you see, typing by hand. So we want to introduce some concepts here. Even email, we typed email. Even the date we've typed, the department we've typed, and even the salary we've typed. So we are introducing here a concept known as data validation by introducing drop downs for categorical data. And for continuous data, we are also going to conduct data validation by introducing some range of values. So this money is in dollars. This money here is in dollars, this salary. So that's what we have just done, Felix. We've not gone far. We've just inputted the first row of our data. Just an example. And now we are on the second row of our data.
Okay,
but
thank you.
Yes, yeah, there is where we are. But as you can see, we are now on the second entry. We are on the second entry here, and we are trying to see how we can be able to save time, because the first one we just did the normal entry. So how can we be able to save time and also validate data at the same time? Because in most cases, the data is not valid because of the human error. So how can we be able to minimize the typo errors and so on? So we have to conduct data validation at the entry point. So there is where we want to introduce that. But before that, you can see here, we see first name, we don't see E. You can see last name here. We cannot see the email address well. We cannot see the full name for the department. So how can we set our Excel to be able to transition, to be able to resize based on the values contained in the column? So that is the first trick we want to learn today before we proceed with even the entries here, because I can see here, I cannot see email clearly unless I resize by this. So how will you resize like this throughout the session? And maybe you have long names, short names, and so on. So we want to start by setting this. We need to begin here. So you right click, you go to the name of the sheet down there, you right click, name of the sheet, you right click, and then you go to view code. We need to set that before we even continue with entries. So go to view code, the Excel will open the VBA window, where we can be able to set that. So we are just going to input here a very short code that will enable us to resize columns automatically. So you change from general. What you will see first, you will see general and you will see worksheet. So just change from general to worksheet. Just click on this drop down here to worksheet, like this. When you click, you will see here predefined, I can call it a function, predefined function. So here is where we want to set our column in between private sub and the end sub. We want to define here to define here a function, a VBA code that we can use to resize the cells. Or based on the values contained in a column. So you use cells, you just write in between there, write cells dot entire column dot cells dot entire column dot autofit. So that means that Excel will be able to autofit the columns based on the values contained in the cell. So I'll just copy this code and also paste it in the chat section. If you cannot see, it is cells.entire column.autofit. So once you do that, Excel will automatically start resizing your columns based on the values that will be contained in the cells. That's the first thing we are learning today. So I'll just close this and also share the code in the chat section as well. So let me close. And Excel automatically resizes everything based on the length of the values. So for example, under gender, when I type something like maybe hello world, Excel should be able to resize everything based on the value that will be contained in that column. You see? So that's the first trick that we've done. So let me just copy that. Let me just code in the chat section. I don't know if we have managed to do that. Can someone just confirm? Can someone just confirm for us? I have just shared that in the chat section. Can someone just confirm to us? Yes. Is everything all right?
Yeah, on my side, I'm okay. Everything is all right.
Okay, thank you so much. If you are not yet there, please let us know so that we can see how you can also reach there to achieve that. So it is easier for you to resize cells in Excel using the short VBA code I've shared in the chat section, so that you can also be able to accommodate the value cells based on the content, columns based on the content. So let's add the level of education. Someone suggested that. So how do we insert cells insert columns in Excel? So you right click, you click on the column, you right click. So here, Excel usually inserts cells to the left, inserts columns to the left, inserts column to the left. So you go where you want to insert. So for me, I want to insert in between salary and the department. So I have to go to salary. And then I have to click insert. When I click insert, Excel will insert a column to the left. So I'll click insert like that. And then here, I will now provide the name. I will provide here the name, which is the education level. Education level. You see, it's now automatically resizing everything. So it makes my work easier. I don't focus on extending every column now and then to ensure that everything is okay. Sometimes you can also include the date when you are employed so that we can know how long have you been in the company. We can compute that, but let's just continue with that understanding. So up to there, if you joined us and you feel lost, please, you can also raise the concern, because in our sessions, we really don't recommend leaving anyone behind. So we shall be building on top of these knowledges as we go on. You see, we are starting from scratch. So in Excel, for someone who has never worked with Excel, so this we are working in is an Excel sheet. This is an Excel sheet. So this sheet, we can be able to add other sheets by clicking here to add new sheets. But the entire collection of sheets makes something we call a workbook, an Excel workbook. That's why you see here, mine is called book 1, because I have not saved yet. This one is called sheet 1, this one is called book 1. So this is called workbook. The entire of this document is called a workbook, while this one is called a sheet. So that's why it's sheet 1. When I add another sheet, it will tell me sheet 2, and so on, and so on. When I want to delete, you can be able to right click on a particular sheet, and then you can delete or you hide or whatever. So if someone is left behind, please, you let us know so that you can move together. So Excel contains different ribbons, so this one, the entire of this is an Excel ribbon, and the Excel ribbon contains different tabs like file, home, insert, page, layout, formulas, data, review, view. Can someone mute unless you have a question, or else I'll help you mute. Okay. And then we have review, we have view, we have developer. Developer here, you can be able to develop things in Excel. Yeah, like macros and so on. And then here is the Power Pivot. You can look at the KPIs, and you can also build relations, be data models. And then under each tab, there is a lot of operations that you can conduct. Like under home, you can see some of these things will be interacting with them. So we'll learn them along the way, so we can progress now from there. So here, we will provide the last name. Maybe this is Rebecca, let's say Rebecca Mwangangi. You see, it automatically resizes, so it saves time. But now here under gender, we know that gender is a categorical variable. Categorical variable is where this is a kind of variable that we know the maximum number of outputs. So for gender, we can have male, female, and maybe binary, or maybe prefer not to say, you see. But for this case, we are just going to use male, female. Are we together? Is someone talking? Anything? Okay, so I'll just help the person mute. Thank you for joining, but we'll just help you mute. Thank you for joining, but you'll be muted unless you have a question. You raise your hand, I will give you opportunity to talk. Okay, so we can proceed. So under here, male, we want to define a drop down in Excel. So that is what we use to validate categorical data. We use drop downs to validate categorical data. So you go to data tab, you go to the cell that you want to set, you make it active. An active cell will be shown by this rectangle. This is a rectangle. So this is an active cell. So you want to set this cell to have categorical values. So you go to data tab, and then on data tab, you need to search under data tools, go to data tools. Under data tab, go to data tools, go to a group of data tools. Data tab, go to a group of data tools. Under data tools, you'll see this icon. When you hover on this icon, you will see data validation. If you don't see the icon, you will see the name data validation. When you hover on this icon, you will see data validation. It is near to text to column. It's near to consolidate. You can remove duplicates. It's near to flash fill. Yeah. So we need to click on this drop down icon, and then you'll see here there is data validation. You can see here there is cycle invalid data. You can see here clear validation cycles. And then you can click on data validation. So just click on data validation, and then you will see this dialog box, which will appear. So this box, it has settings, it has input message, it has an error alert. So the first thing we are learning in Excel is how we can create dropdowns in Excel without using developer tab. So you go to settings, you change from allow, from any value, change under this dropdown, from any value, change to list. You change it to list, and then you provide your source. So for example, for the source of my data here is male and female. So I'll just type male, semicolon, female, male, semicolon, female, male, semicolon, female. That is list. That is list. So can we just click OK once we've done that and see how it will appear? Let's just click OK and see how it will appear. Okay, it is not appearing well. And then we say, why are you not appearing well? We need you to be a drop down. We need to be able to select only male and not female and male. You see now, we go back to data tab. We just want to go step by step. You go back to data tab. Where you are, just go to data tab and then go again to data validation so that it can open that dialog. Yes. So here, you change to a comma. Change this to a comma. Male, female, change to a comma and not a semicolon. Change to a comma and not semicolon. And then you click on OK. Click on OK. We are just going step by step. So change just comma to semicolon between the source. Then you click OK and you check your drop down. Then now you see the drop down is working well. So here you can be able to select one. You can be able to select one. You can either select male or you can select female. If you don't specify with a comma and specify with anything else, even specifying with a space, it will not work as a drop down. That's what we wanted to iterate. For example, what I mean is when you go to your data tab and here you change this from comma to just something like that, male, female, and then you click on OK, you'll be able to see it is not a drop down. So you must use a comma in between your categories. So I will put comma like that and then click OK. So before I click OK for me, I want you also to go back to this dialog box. So we need to set information here. So you see, when it's just drop down like this, someone may not know, like, what is it that is here? So we need to give the person an input message so that when this cell is hovered, when someone hovers on top of this cell, should be able to see that it's being told, the person is being told from the drop down. So we go to insert to the input message. We give a title. We give a title. So you can say a title. Title can be anything. Input alert. Input alert. Input alert. And then the input message here is select. This one can also be anything. Select from the drop down. Select from the drop down. Select from the drop down. So at least someone may know that the person is supposed to select from the drop down. Yes, someone is raising Hands up. You can unmute, please. Or if it was by mistake, we can continue. Yes?
Oh, well, okay. The thing is,
Yes, yes.
up to where you've reached, I'm okay. Maybe let me say it's my jumpy nature. I see you see that drop down list or the
Yes,
whatever data you're just inputting now is only appearing and applying to the data for Rebecca, the entry that we are now, but the above first entry is not working on it.
Yes, yes. Yeah, no problem. No problem. We will show that how we can be able to apply to the rest of the other cells.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we are just giving more details here, and then we will see how we can apply to other cells to save time. Yeah, also. So here, input alert, it will be input alert here, my title, and then select from the drop down. This will be the message. And then we go to error alerts. Suppose someone refuses to select from the drop down. What should be the error alert to this person? So the error alert will just be an information. It's not a warning, it's not a stop or what, information. We just change from style to from stop to information. And then you give the title of your error message. Wrong, maybe I can say wrong input as my title, wrong input. Please select from the drop down. See, please select from the drop down. Please select from the drop down. And then I click OK. I now click OK. I now comfortably click on OK. So when I click on OK, you see when this cell is active, I see this message. This is what we call input alert. So anywhere, if you have ever seen kind of this is how it is built. So this is an input message that when you click outside that cell, it is not there unless you click in that cell. So how can we apply this to the rest of the cells? Let's say we want to input up to row 6. So you come here, you raise your cursor, bottom right corner, then you drag these two up to row 6. That means you are applying that rule to up to where you want. You see? That's how this works. So you can also apply to the cell above, and it is now there. But now it will replace the value that is already there, because it requires to be selected from the drop down. So let's say, I don't know if you are all there. I just want to confirm that if we have all managed to apply this to some cells down. I just want to see reactions by just reactions. Maybe you can show maybe thumbs up. You can show me thumbs up if you have managed to do that. If you have not managed to do that, please let me know so that you can share your screen. So can I see thumbs up if you have managed to do that? If not, raise your hand. If not, raise your hand. If not, please raise your hand. Felix, are we there?
Yes, successfully.
Okay, okay. Flavian, if you can hear me, and Theophile and Kwisanga Ernest. Yeah, please, let's walk through this together. We don't want to leave anyone behind. So just confirm with me that everything is all right and we can be able to proceed. But if you keep quiet, I will also believe that everything is all right, unless otherwise. So up to here, we've seen how we can create. So we can also be able to create that one for department and also education level. So maybe I can give this opportunity to Felix to share your screen and show us how we can create similar drop downs for something like department. So I'll stop sharing and allow you to share your screen. So maybe for the departments, you can just add some other normal departments. Yeah, so Felix, you can just share your screen and then we can be able to see that. Okay, Kwisanga, thank you. Everything is fine. Okay, Flavian is saying about the, oh, okay, Flavian is when he has just joined. Okay, Flavian. So you can just concentrate here, Flavian, and then you'll know what's going on. Okay, yeah, so Felix, you can show us how we can add some other departments as drop downs there under department.
Okay, I assume that as you're going to be entering this day kind of data, you should have understood which categorical departments are in this organization. So on my side, okay, my department is on H, column H, yeah, as you can see. So
yes,
if we are to do the same thing, let me start from the first one where I had already entered something, HR, on a guess. But as you can see, this is my active tab now. So I'll go to my data. It's already done.
Please,
Then I'll move to.
Okay.
Yeah. Ernest, are you having a question?
I didn't see a screen button for now. I'm looking for it.
Oh, you can see screen. Okay, thank you. Yeah, you can proceed, Felix.
Well, I ensure that my department my department column is on column H. So I make that cell active on my first entry. Then I'll click on data up there. I'll move straight to data validation and data validation once more. However, the presenter will ask something about what about the other ones, the circle invalid data and clear invalid circles. Maybe you could have highlighted something, but you didn't mention. So I'll go to data validation and back to setting, where I'll come down here to my drop down menu.
Hello, Felix. I would just request that you share the entire screen, because when you share a window, it only shows the Excel without the other pop-up windows. Yeah.
Oh,
so you can just stop sharing and reshare again. No problem. Thank you. We cannot see the other windows when you share as a window.
Is that now okay? Is it okay now?
Yes, it's okay. You can now repeat.
Okay. If let me refresh from where I left, where I started.
Yeah.
I ensure that my departmental column, that is column H on my spreadsheet one, is active, and then I'll move to data. Though it's already pre-done, but then automatically, suppose I was on home, I'll go to data tab, then I'll move straight to data validation, where I said that despite that the presenter beyond data didn't mention something about circle invalid data or clear invalidation circles, but I will, the instruction was we go to data validation. Then the first tab here is settings, where I need to set my validation criteria. So I'll go to any value and I'll choose, this time around it's a list that I want to work with. I have a list, and when I have a list, I'll move to source. I'm seeing that the tab that between is, let me say, is inactive. So I'll move to my source, where I'll key in. I assume on that date, on that organization, I must have known there is a department called the human resource. I'll put a comma. And again, there's one called, let's say it's called warehouse. And let me assume the final one is called finance. For an example, according to the version of my Excel, I'll have to click this one to get back here. So I think up to that stage, I should be going to okay. But if I may just proceed, suppose I have a message to input or to show the person.
Just proceed with the message. Yeah, thank you.
I was not told, but actually, let me just push on kidogo. Suppose I have a message to give. I'll give a title to mean, I can say something roughly strictly departments, or let's say a short of that. And any other message I'd like to show. Let me assume I like to show. Let me just put some random English word, keenly. In case of an error, what should happen? Then I'll move to the error tab, error alert tab. Then I move down here. And if it's a warning or informatory, suppose it's a warning, but warning looks so stern, so it's better to use information where you inform or remind the person that this title or the error is was strictly, in my case, strictly departments. The error message is confirm your entry. I think up to that stage, I'm done and I should click OK. And as you see, finally, when I come here, it's already here. So my first entry called Joe Maina is a male and working under which department. So the drop-down list is already here. So I'll pick warehouse, or I give finance. I think I'm done.
Okay. Okay. And suppose you type there something else that is not in the drop downs. Just try to type something there so that you can see the warning alert.
Suppose I have the word manager. The alert will prompt as I can hear the Windows alert sounds. Confirm your entry.
Yes, yes. It's very important. Yes.
However, you see, my question is when I press OK, it brings it still leaves that wrong entry there.
Okay. So that's where the concept of cycling invalid data comes. So you can proceed and cycle the data that is invalid. But for the other versions of Microsoft Excel, it usually accepts, it usually fails to accept the response. It usually fails to accept. So can you just try to put their values that are not valid, and then you press on enter, and then from there you will go and cycle the values. First of all, press enter to go out of that cell.
Then?
And then go to cycle invalid data. Can you just select the whole data and then click on cycle? Select the whole table, the whole data range, and then go to cycle invalid data.
That way?
Yeah, that way is just okay. I don't know why yours is not. Yeah, so I think I need also to try the same on my end, and then I'll see, because it's also supposed to ask you every time you type in the values. It's supposed to refuse, give you an information warning. So can you just change from information to something like change it to stop? Can you just change that from information to stop? Then click on OK. So it depends on the sensitivity of the information. So can you just press enter there? Yeah. Okay. You see now it fails to accept at all. So it depends how sensitive is the data you are dealing with. My brother Felix, it depends how sensitive is your data you are dealing with. So you can choose between stop, warning, and information. If you talk about information, it will be able to accept the response. Means that it gave you information, but you refused, like you want it to proceed the way you want. But it should be able to cycle invalid data. It should be able to cycle invalid data. But we will also be able to do that once we have other entries, and then we will see how it can be able to cycle invalid data. Otherwise, thank you so much for showing us that. Yeah, thank you. So Flavian, you joined us, and we had discussed. So you were asking about how to show how we can resize. how we can be able to resize the columns. So that one will be able to, I'll just be able to show you the code, and then you can be able to, so let me share my screen, and then we proceed. Yeah, so if you can see, yeah, so for Flavian case, you right click here on the sheet, then you go to view code. So for me, because I already changed from general to this worksheet, so you have to change from general to worksheet, is when you'll see this prior code. And then this is the code that you're supposed to input in between here. Only this cells.entire column.autofit. So it will be filling the columns based on their, resizing the columns based on the values that are contained in the column. Hope now everything is clear, Flavian. So I'll just copy this for your case and also paste it in the chat section so that you can be able to access and also come to be where we are. Yeah, hope everything is now okay. So we can proceed. Okay, so I will also do the same here for department, but for education, I want to show you another way of how we can select data. So for example, let me say I have here something else, something here about education levels. So sometimes typing the list may be tiresome, and we may require to just select the range. So education level, so let's say we have primary, maybe secondary, maybe let's say something like tertiary. Yeah, just that. You can have other things the way you want, but let's say we have something like that. So that means that we have here these values. So how can we be able to select here the level of education? You pick this range. So we want to see that there is typing and also there is selecting range. So I'll just do the same process. You go to the data tab, you go to the data validation, and then data validation from any value here will go to list. And then from the source here is where we will click on this upload icon, upload icon, and then we can be able to select like this. So because level of education is not part of my list, I will leave it out. So that means I'll be able to select from primary, secondary, and tertiary. And then you can click this icon for download to go back to the pop-up window like that. So you see I have here an absolute range of my data source. But now, if you just want to type, you can be able to type, is fine. But if you don't want to type, you can use that criteria. But now you should not be able to, you are not advised to delete this range. You are not advised to delete this range. For example, let me copy this and maybe paste somewhere else. And clear content. So when I clear content, you see, I have lost my drop down. The drop down is here, but has no values. The drop down is here, but has no values. So you either type or you need to be keen. So I cannot even be able to undo the process. What I have to do is to repeat the process again. So you need to be keen while doing that. So don't ask yourself, where did my drop down go? And maybe you deleted the range. You see the range it's referring is empty. So I can just reference to this other range. So yeah, so that's another way that we can use to reference that. Okay, then we can click on OK, or we can give also input message here and the error alert. So can also give something like error alert. Let's give something like warning. Let's give something like warning and also see how warning works. Wrong input. So who is unmuted? Maybe if you have something to say. Wrong input. Please select from the range. Select from the drop down. Who is that? Can you please say something, or we help you mute? Click on OK, so we can be able to select from a range here. or we can be able, if we type something like primary, it's accepted. Let's see something like prime is not accepted. Please select from the drop down. Continue, yes, no. So when you click on yes, it accepts. And then let's check. Let me just help this person to be on mute. Yeah. Sadie, thank you for joining us, but now we will help you be muted so that our session can be with minimum disturbance. So let's cycle invalid data. So when we cycle invalid data, we should be able to see this circle, Felix. So Felix, please try to use warning and then try to cycle invalid data when you input a value that is not acceptable. Please do that and let me know. So you should be able to cycle invalid data. So you see, it is easier for us to know if someone inputted values that are not supposed to be accepted. If we use warning, suppose we just use information, where like gender, for gender, maybe we type something like maybe I forgot I forgot something. I was writing female, but I forgot F. So it will tell me, please select from the drop down, but I'll just click OK. It will accept. So let me try to cycle data for the information. Sorry, to erase. Okay, just close this, drop down, cycle invalid data. You see, this data is also cycled. So I don't know, Felix, if it is really working at your end. Just let me know what's going on.
Okay, excuse me, may you pardon how you cycle, because on my side,
yes,
when I entered a different value, it pops my error, and when I say no, it didn't circle until I came back and pressed on circled error value. I don't know if that's the same thing. Maybe.
Yeah. You have to go and circle. Yeah, you have to go back and circle invalid data. You have to go back and click on cycle invalid data.
Okay. Thank you. Then it's working.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. You have to go and cycle invalid data, and then you can be able now to know which data was inputted wrongly, and now it can be easier for you to handle. So you can also, once you have known where the circling invalid data is, you can now proceed here, and then you can now clear validation cycles. Those cycles that we can clear, so you have already identified them, so you can just go there and maybe make the amendments as required. Yeah. So hope we are together, colleagues. Said you just joined us, and we are covering Microsoft Excel. This is our first day of 5 weeks challenge for every Friday. So we are covering about data entry in Microsoft Excel, which is very interesting. So we need to cover something else about data entry in Microsoft Excel. So let's just have dummy data here. Maybe this is female. So let's see how we can create email addresses for thousands of people at the same time. So we want to use a function in Excel, though functions in Excel should be covered later, but it's good because there are functions that are required during the entry time. So for example, I want to input, we already know that this organization prepares email based on the first name of the person and then the domain of the organization. So we have a function in Excel which we call concatenate, concatenate. So you say equal to, and then you say concat. You can use concat or concatenate, whichever. When you use concatenate, it joins several text strings into one text string. When you use concat, list or range of text strings. It has no problem, just the same. You can use concat or concatenate. So we are using concat here. So you use concat, and then you select, concat is used to join two strings together, two texts together in short. So you go to Rebecca, you click on the first name of the person, and then you separate with a comma, And then remember we have domain name. So for domain name, we can put it in quote. The domain name, we can put it in quote, or we can have it as a column on its own. So you can put it in quote because it's a string. Excel strings are usually enclosed in speech mark, either single or double speech mark, just like other programming, like programming languages, while defining a string variable, while assigning a string variable or a string value. So you put in quote at example.com, and then you close, and then you close your concatenate function. So I'll just zoom my view a little bit so that we can see clearly. So let me just get out a little bit of this cell and then maximize my view to 125, and 125, and then I click on OK. Yeah, so at least we can see in a bit of view. So we can see here we have concat. Let me just bring back the formula bar, so that we can see the formula bar. Yeah, so this is the formula bar that we are using for this concept. So it is very, very important for us to know that it is very, very important for us to note this. So let me just mute a little bit coming. So you can just try and also see how you can be able to work with this information, how you can work with the concat. I am coming in case of any question, So I'm giving you 1 minute to be able to also apply concat at your end, and then tell us what you are finding. I'll just leave this screen here so that you can be able to see everything at your end. So yeah, that was an opportunity also to help those who, for those who were not able to catch up with where we are, to be able also to reach where we are now. So we can see it is now capturing the first name of the person and the domain of the organization. But now suppose we want, is there someone with a question? Someone with a question? Okay, a message. What of the email addresses, for example, mine is this at gmail.com. Yeah. So we are talking about the professional email anyway. But for your email, we can also be able to prepare like that. So for example, we want an email that combines the first name, the last name, and the domain, the employee ID. The email is at gmail.com. So we can also be able to do that, my brother Flavian. So suppose your name is Flavian who? Just so Flavian. This is Flavian Flavor. Flavian Flavor. Yes, Flavian Flavor. Hope Flavian, you are male. And then I want to create here your email address the way you are saying. So we want to assign you a unique identifier here, Flavian 102. And then we want to create here an email with concat. So we'll say equal to concat equal to concat. And then I'll specify my first text. Here. My first text is your first name, like that, comma. I'll go to the second name, which is Flavor, comma. I will provide the numbers that you are saying, like 1 or 2. You can also type them. Let me type them here. Like, for example, I can type a number like 1 or 2. 1 or 2 is a number, but now I can provide it as a text so that Excel can detect it as a text, like that. And then comma, And then I can also provide you at gmail.com. You see, at gmail.com. Together like this. And then I can now close. This is concat function we use to join strings together in Excel. So you see when I press on enter here, so it will be able to capture these things. You see now the way it is, Flavia? Yes? Someone with a question?
Okay, my question is, I don't know the essence of writing the formula in every rows.
Yes.
Because I was thinking that if we write even in the first row, you drag
Yeah,
it
we will
down.
drag down. Yes, you drag down. No, you see now, yeah, we wanted just to explain the example on how our brother Flavian can be able to create different email that has no pattern. We can only drag when we want a particular pattern to be applied. For example, in this case, it is easier for us to drag down because we know these rows are being created based on the first row. While for Flavian, you can see how complicated the email is. So you cannot drag this down and obtain the same results. Unless this is your format and now you want to be applying this going up, or this is the format that you are going to use throughout to create emails. So you must define a pattern for your function to work well. You must define a pattern. So for example, our pattern is the first name to be used as the email address plus the domain. So here I can just drag down. So anywhere I will be having first name, it will be captured, and then we'll be creating domains like that, creating emails like that. So anytime I put here a name, I will be able to get an email for that name. Anytime I create here anything, I'll be able to get an email for that corresponding to that employee. So that marks the end of my example. So I don't want to go down here. Just delete this example. Clear. So right click clear content. So here we need to provide the second names. Maybe this is Maina, and maybe this is Awino, and the gender, this is male, this is female. You see, but now here you can see when we have something that is typed like this, Jane. Let's say we have something like this, Jane. And now we need the whole email to be in small letters or throughout. So how can we be able to do that? So we need to ensure that everything is okay so that we don't encounter that problem. So we have to add another
Excuse me.
in Excel that will help us to be able to eradicate this. So we can concatenate, we can join functions together, we can nest functions in Excel to be able to compute. For example, this is concat. So after joining these things, we need to lower everything to be in a lowercase. So we'll just come here in the beginning and type lower. So for example, in this case, I'll type lower. Lower is a function in Excel that can be able to lower everything from text to, from the uppercase to lowercase. And then I close everything like this. So anytime I have any format, everything will be lowered in this case. You see now, everything is lowercase. The same way, we can apply to the rest of the other cells above. Like that, we can apply to the rest of the cells above. So everything now is in small letters. You can see the function here. In case someone has a question, please let us know of your question.
Oh, okay. Kindly look at the charts.
Okay, let me check. Okay. You have to remove the symbol. I see that symbol. Is it also part of the function? That symbol, is it part of the function? You need to separate
No.
C3, separate C3 with a comma between C3 and the email of the organization. The domain, C3 and the domain, you need to separate with a comma. Please let me know if there is that error again.
Oh no, that's just gone. Sorry, I couldn't. Sorry, I couldn't recognize that mistake. I'm sorry, but thank you for the correction.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Felix. Thank you, Felix. Um, that's nice. So we can proceed now. I hope everyone is now okay. Yeah, we usually start step by step. That's why we don't even hurry. You see? You see now, the more you have a complex problem, the more you will have to add more Excel functions together in Excel to ensure that everything is in order. Even all these names, we have a function also that we can be able to join this to give us a full name of an individual. So we are going also to look at that in a few. And let's first of all fill in this data here that we need to have here. So for example, we need to fill this data, but let me just provide the date. Yeah, this data, we need to fill it. So I think I have no categorical variable here, but here I have already. So I'll just drag this down and maybe change these categories to something that I already have here. So tertiary, this one I can change to primary, just to vary like that, just an example. And now I can also set my department to be categorical. So I must set my department also to be a drop down. So I'll come here, I'll go to data, I'll go to data validation. I will also just go to settings. And from here, any value, we go to list because it's a drop down. So we create a list of these values. So we are going to create a list for my departments. Maybe IT is part of my departments, maybe HR and admin is maybe together there. Let me also have a department like communication, and so on. You can have as many as you want. Then you click on OK. So I will not put these other messages, but yeah, it's good to put so that someone may know what is the dropdown about. Then I will apply to the rest of the cells. Now this one I can change to the cell that I want, the values that I want, like that, communication. And you see now I minimize my typos. So every time I have a name, my cell is resizing based on the values. Yeah. So date, we can also just type here the date, but you can also add a date picker in Excel. That is another thing. So you're not going to do that here. So I can just have some dummy data here about the dates of birth of these people, 19, maybe 86, something like that. And maybe this person, just some random numbers here, 1992. Let me have something. These are just dummy numbers. 2005. Okay, 352000. Yeah, so something like that. So we want also to learn how we can be able to provide data validation for continuous data validation for numeric data. You see, this is categorical, but now we want to see how we can be able to validate salary. Salary is very sensitive. When you just mess up with maybe adding a zero or omitting a zero, you really fall into problems. So we need to also learn how to be able to specify this. So how can we be able to specify this? Data validation. So just go to this cell, I'll make it active, and then go to data, and then go to data validation. So this time around, I will not select list here. Maybe salary here is whole numbers. But if you have decimal, you can also choose decimals. No problem. So let me go with the whole numbers. B2, I will provide the minimum salary of the people. So the money there is in dollars. So the minimum salary is maybe $1,000 that these employees can receive. Then the maximum salary is maybe $10,000. You see? So we are specifying the constraints. And then because salary is very sensitive, I must give an input message, input alert or input message, whichever. Input message. Salary ranges between 1K. I'll just use 1K and 10K. Just use that. And then I'll go to error alert. So error alert here is stop because salary is very sensitive. The title is wrong salary input, wrong salary input, wrong salary input. Please read the input message. Please read the input message. Okay, like that. Let me also go back here, colleagues, if I left you behind. We are setting here from allow to whole number. Then data is between, minimum is 1,000, maximum is 10,000. And then input message is, title is input. Input message is salary ranges between 1K to 10K. And then the error alert, we are setting it to stop. And the title is wrong salary input. And then the error message is please read the input message. And then you click on OK. Click on OK. So when you click on OK, you can see now you have here your input message. So you can apply this to the cells below like that. So it has already been applied to the cells below. So when I put here value, like maybe I forgot about 100 and I'm writing 1,000. Forget about 1,000, I'm writing 100. I forget 10. I should receive an input error alert. You see, this is for stop. It doesn't give you an option for you to accept the values. You just have to retry. There is no other option that you are going to go uncharged. So let me say have salary like this. It will be accepted because it's in the range of 1,000 to 10,000. And if I try to put 100,000, I will get also an error input message that, oh, you have to keep trying because your salary is not meeting the minimum and maximum value range, and so on and so on. So that's how we do data validation in Microsoft Excel. And just in case you happen to put here something that is not part of the inputs, maybe for example, we don't have a department known as communication. Communication, maybe I type communication like this, communication. So I'll receive an error here. This value does not match the data validation restrictions defined for this cell. So you have to retry because by default, stop does not allow you to accept, doesn't accept any value. So you have to retry until you take the correct value, until you provide the correct value. And that is very nice if you are giving roles for people to play in data entry using Excel, so that they can minimize the entries, and even when you are doing cleaning, it will save time, and you can also have a look on which value is false, is not true. So some other thing that we can learn, unless there is a question, something we can learn here is we want to insert a new cell here. For example, we want to get full name in one column. So we'll insert a new column here to the left. We said Excel usually inserts cells to the left. So if you want to insert a cell between, inserts columns to the left. If you want to insert a column between last name and gender, you have to provide that by coming to gender, you right click, and then you click on insert. It will be able to insert a column here. So you can provide a column name here. For example, here is full name. So full name is the name of this column. So full name, when you have thousands and thousands of names here, providing them by start typing is really challenging. It's really challenging. But when we use a function like equal to, also here we can use concatenate, a function like equal to concatenate, so concat. But now this time round we will click here and then comma, and then we leave space because these things need space in between. So we leave space in double quotes. You can leave the amount of space that you want in double quotes, then comma, and then you select the last name. As simple as that, and then you close your cell. As simple as that. Then it will be able to collect the full names the way you want with the space that you provided. Then you can just drag down like that, and everything will be okay. But now you see, because of the much space that I left, so you can just ensure that you just leave a single space, and you can run now. Everything will really make a lot of sense. Okay. Is there a question on anything we have covered so far? Everything is all right? Everything is all right? Okay. So let's look at how we can enter data using forms in Excel. So you can see for my case, when I go here, I will be able to see form. I can be able to see form. But for you, I know we may fail to have this. So when you click on this, you'll be able to see the latest entry that was, the first entry that was made. But now you can just click on find next, it will be able to fetch the next one. Find next, you'll be able to find the next one. Find the next, you can also edit there. Find the next, unless it is a computed formula, now you'll not be able to see the next one. So if there is none, which is next, it will be able to stop there. Until you click on new is when it will allow you to start inputting new values here now. So this will be automatically computed. Then you can now provide here the values. You can provide here the values for the department. You can now provide the values here for the level of education. This is using form. This is using form in Microsoft Excel. So I want to ensure that this is possible. I don't know, Felix and Flavian and my colleagues who are in the call, we want to help you see. If you can be able to see this icon, let me know. If you cannot, also let me know so that I can guide you step by step on how we can enable it so that we can save time during entries.
Felix, I cannot.
Okay, Felix. Yeah, so I'll stop sharing. I don't know, Flavian, if you have, so that I can allow you, if you are connected with the laptop, to share your screen.
I may not see it, but I've connected to the meeting by phone.
Your
And I
phone.
have laptop.
Okay, thank you. So Felix, you'll do your honor. So we'll guide you. Flavian will also be able to see from your laptop, yeah, on how to set that. Yeah, so Felix, you can now share your screen. Okay, so we want to start by setting that. So for us to set that, we have to go to File, and then go to Options. Go to File, then go to Options. Go to Files, then go down to Options. Click on Files. Not Save, just File there. Yes, that file, just click on File.
I'm already there.
No, that is data still.
Oh, that's
Click
data.
on
Sorry.
File. Yeah.
Why is
Then
it
go
doing this one?
to yeah, that one. Then go to Options. Go to Options. Yeah. So let me just zoom in so that I can see much better. Okay. So there we want to go to Quick Access Toolbar. Click on Quick Access Toolbar. Quick Access Toolbar. So under Quick Access Toolbar, you can see on your right, there is a box there, which only has Save, Do, and Redo. So those are the Quick Access Bar icons that you see toolbar at the top. So we need to add form there. So for us to add form, you have to change from popular commands. You can see the drop down above that table. No, the other table, the other side. That one. You change it to all commands. Change it to all commands. So when you change it to all commands, they are arranged in alphabetic order. So just check for forms. Just scroll down to F. Scroll down to F. Scroll down to forms. Scroll down to forms. You click on it and then you add. Click on it and then add to the other side. Just as simple as that. Just as simple as that. And then you can click on OK. You can click on OK. And there you go. So you see it is there. So you can click on it. You can click on it. And there you go. So it is fetching data from the table that you already have. But if you don't have the table, what you have just to provide for the form is the title for the columns, the column names. That is what usually required for the form to work. You just need to provide the form with your column names. And then you can start keying data using the forms. So where there is formulas, forms does not allow formulas. Formulas will be computed after the results have been submitted. So I would like you, Felix, to click on next. Click on, no, on the form. Yes, on the form. No, just click on next. Not even find next. Just click on next at the top.
This is new.
New. Click on new. Yeah, new. So I want you to input there some entries for it will be submitted on row 8. So just make there some entries. So the form also does not allow drop downs. So you will have to input everything about the drop downs. Your full name does not have a formula.
Which add?
So it's head. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it is not applied to the other roles below. It's not applied to the other roles below. So it's no problem. You can skip it or you can provide it a value. You can skip it, no problem. You'll just drag down.
What about my?
I can
Okay.
see. Yeah.
Allow me apply that formula, then we continue.
Okay. Yeah, just apply. Yeah, just yeah, like that. You can apply to up to the cell that is blank. Yeah, to the cell that is blank, and you'll make everything blank so that it does not fetch any existing data. Yeah, you'll just delete. You'll then delete the values. You'll then delete the values in that row. Yeah, like that. Yeah. So okay, like that. Now you can click on the form. Okay, so you can click on new, and then now you can provide those values. So you can see now, whenever we have a function or a formula, Excel will not accept the form to get values because the values will be computed from the existing values. That's why it is not accepting any entry there. So it is Excel which will be able to calculate once you have submitted your values. Yeah. For drop-down, Excel form does not allow drop-downs to be in the form. So you'll just type, it will do its validation later once you submit your values. Once you submit your values is when it will be able to check for the validation that you already set to the cells.
Can I just an error here?
Yes.
Yeah. Just put an error. Just put a wrong entry, and we'll see how it will behave. Flavian, I've muted you because I'm hearing some background voice the other side, but no problem. Yeah, but if you want to talk, we can also just talk, no problem. And then you can now click on enter, press enter. So it will be able to submit your value. So close there. So okay, it's kept your row because you went to Can you just check if there is a drop down on that primary?
Nothing.
On primary. Is there a drop down?
No.
No, primary cell, that one. No drop down.
No.
So it does not apply, it does not accept drop down at all. So that's why it is creating a new a new row for you. But what I suggest, can you just clear, I just request that you clear that row that is with the values, and then clear by right clicking on the far end, right click on the far end.
Yeah.
Yeah, select the row, click on row 9, value 9, click on value 9 on your left. Yeah, click on it, right click while it's like that, then click on clear content, or you can delete the row. Yeah, then now go to cell. Yeah, just click there, and then now go to form. No, yeah, that one. Yeah. So when you are there, you can now click on next, then now try to provide the values there, and then again we counter check again. It will be able to skip that, doesn't accept the drop downs that already exist, because there are rules that the data needs to meet, but now the form does not really work with the rules. So it's usually good when you start with the form, you just use the form. You just define the column names and everything, now you start using form. But if you want to use the normal entry, you just use normal entry with the drop downs, with the validation, and so on and so on. Yeah.
Can I comment that error again?
Yeah, just proceed.
Is it case sensitive?
It is not case sensitive. You can restrict by just using formulas like lowercase, uppercase, proper, and so on. It's not case sensitive.
Okay,
So you can click on enter to submit, or find the next. You see it's skipping because there are already existing rules in that row. Can you delete that row 8 and maybe also try to do the same row 8 as well? Clear that and clear row 8, because row 8 contains the rules. So let's clear row 8 and delete row 8, not clear, delete.
I delete, okay.
Yeah. Delete row 8.
Deleted. Did I delete this content too?
Yeah, delete that content. So I think row 8 has no rules there.
Yeah.
Row 8 has no any rule, right?
Yes.
Any rule on the drop downs like the department and so on. Or this already having rules because we had already applied to it, unless we remove the rules from the data validation dialog box. Unless we remove the rules from the data validation dialog box. Yeah.
So like here I can remove. What do I do?
Oh, you can remove from the dialog box, from the dialog for the data validation. You can go to data validation and allow any value. Change from list to any value. Yeah, then you click on OK. So there is some input message, but there's no rule there. So you can also remove the input messages, but there's no problem. Yeah, that's how you can do that. You can as well remove the messages. But yeah, so it should also do the same to something like a department. But what I recommend, when you use form, you just use form. If you use the entry by hand, use by hand. So to use the form, you can just copy the first column, the first row, copy the first row, the column names. The column names, not the value. Yeah, the column names. And then you create a new sheet. Copy that and then create a new sheet. Copy that, then click on new sheet, then paste there. Paste there from A1. Yeah. Then now click on your form. Yeah, click on OK. Okay, you see? So when you provide the values there, it will automatically feed those values to that form. it will automatically feed those values to that form. So just provide that values, and I think that will mark the end of our forms. If you want to learn more about forms, there are videos on our YouTube channel about forms and other things in Microsoft Excel. But of course, we have another session also next week. So Flavian, please don't leave the call as well. We have evaluation form for you to fill about the session. Yeah, so that make that entry. Just make that entry, then you please press on enter, and then we see how your form will be able to feed in values. And then you press on enter. You see now? Yeah, so you can just work with form easily like that. If you don't work, if you are, yes.
My question is, are you going to send somebody this form, or this form you're using just for data entry? Or your
Not
side?
really, it's just a form for data entry where you can just, if you see, we are making your work easier. If you are working with Excel, you can also make someone else work easier working with Excel by teaching him how to use form, and then you enable form to that person's Excel. And now then someone can the person now will be used, the person will now be able to use it, to use the knowledge. Someone must be taught. The form is just there because you provided the first row, and now you enabled it also for easier access. Not that it's something like a form like you can share with someone like the Microsoft Forms, no.
Or like, yeah, the Kobo forms. Okay.
Yeah, so this one is just to help you enter data in Excel with ease. Okay. Yeah, so we will be able to learn more about other things in Excel in our upcoming session. So let me also, I just zoomed things out and now I have to zoom them back. Yeah, so let me share with you, colleagues. Is there any question, please? Any question from today's session? Have any remarks about anything that you've met in this session? You can let us know, because we are winding up the session now, unless there is a question.
I have this to say. It seems like I'm losing my internet connection in the next 5 minutes or so. Now, before I go, I'll appreciate your assistance so much. At least I've learned something, before I decided to come here today. I knew you from some time back when this thing was being done when I was in campus those days, but I took it lightly because I thought, I didn't need it, but I realized that I've learned a lot today. Things that I didn't know. I thought I knew, but I didn't know. So I like to say thank you, and I'll be seeing you next time, next session. I'll support your YouTube channel. I'll support you generally. I appreciate your good work, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, Felix. So there is a feedback form in the chat section. Yeah, you can also give us your feedback about the session. And
okay.
Yes.
Okay, and again, finally, I'm here because again, I trained in statistics some time back, and in my life, I've never got an opportunity to be a data analyst. So I'm here because I want to learn how to be a data analyst. There's an organization that is, I have an interview. I hope they take me in as a data analyst, where I'll need to use data insights, help them make decision making on the markets, and to visualize data. So I'm here purposely to also gain more, interact with people in the same life.
Okay, Felix. Yeah, and beyond the data, we will be able to help you, and you will really, in this 5 weeks challenge, you'll be able to know how you can be able to maneuver this journey. So we will be together in this process. Yeah, so I'll just be able to give final remarks later. So don't leave the call once you fill the feedback form, so that we can also know more how we can also move forward. So Flavian, are you in the position of talking? Maybe you give us your final remarks about the session.
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay. I'm grateful for this wonderful session that I've joined today. Last Friday, I also joined it. I started it last Friday. I'm
Yes.
grateful because this Excel, I've learned it more during my internship. I'm doing attachment here at Nairobi, but I'm
Yes.
currently a statistics student in Technical University of Mombasa.
Yes.
So I can see your presentation is very elaborative, and I'm being impressed by this presentation of yours, and I'm learning new things that I've even never come across.
Yes, brother. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
so
Yeah.
I'm very, very grateful. And in your YouTube channel,
Yes.
I've subscribed.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
you can follow up with the other recordings. You see, there's a lot of information there on on
yeah.
Excel. Yeah, so you can be able to really do a lot with Excel. However, if you
I,
have any challenge with Excel, you can also consult me at a
at least
personal level.
now I can say I'm good in Excel. Okay.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you too.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us our session today, and we are looking forward to meeting you in the upcoming weeks. Yeah, so you can also encourage other colleagues so that we can be able to work together through this journey. Thank you so much, and have a nice evening, Flavian.